In this video I'm going to show how I built my electric boat system. I'll explain a little bit on how I build everything. So let's start with the battery. Currently I am still testing with this small 96 volt 50 amp hour battery. The BMS should be rated for 150 amps, but yeah, it definitely cannot give more than 75 amps, but it's fine for testing purposes. The battery at the moment sits below the front deck. It's connected to that battery connector. From there it goes to the battery switch, which enables battery power to the system. And from there it goes to the back, to the motor controller. This case is normally closed and sits below here, so that's out of the way, and the seat is in front of it, so you don't really see it. From this side we go to the motor. From that side we get the battery power, which goes to that safety thing. I do some amperage measurement here, but I'm going to remove that because it's not really useful in the back. A contactor here to give power to the controller. Over there we have a 12 volt converter for the normal 12 volt systems, like switches and lights and speedometer and relays and stuff like that. So when you turn the switch, the contactor turns on. Or basically when you enable the battery power from the front, the 96 volts comes here, powers the 12 volt converter. Then from the switch in the dashboard you can turn it on. That enables the contactor. That gives power to the motor controller, which gives then instead power to the motor. So we have a 96 volt system and a 12 volt system. And from there we have the cables from the dashboard coming in. And from this side we have the Hall effect or the rotary encoder from the outboard, and the phase wires that go to the outboard. We also have water cooling. The outboard has a water pump, like every other outboard. So we have a tube coming in from here that goes into some cooling blocks at the bottom here, and those cool the controller. And the exhaust water goes out the side over there. Then we have the motor here. The wires come in here. Here we have the rotary encoder from the motor and the phase wires, which are connected to this terminal block. And then the motor, of course, has a water pump in the bottom, which pumps up water. Comes up here in those tubes. It goes around the motor to cool the motor, and then it also goes out to the controller to cool the controller. So that's basically how the system works. And well, as you probably know, I used an old outboard motor, from which I removed the petrol engine and installed this electro motor. And inside there is this coupler, which connects the shaft from the lower end to the motor here. This was a 3D printed test piece, and I had this made from aluminum from PCB way. So that's sitting here inside, connecting the two parts up. And then we have the throttle over there, which is a normal e-bike throttle, like this, which I converted to look a bit like an outboard motor but it's basically every e-bike similar throttle control. Okay, so here we have the dashboard. There's the speedometer, steering wheel, safety, amp meter. Here's a switch for enabling the contactor, and switches for forward and reverse, and high speed and low speed. Here is the tablet for controlling the motor with the Fire Driver app. You can set all kinds of settings, and it normally shows you a dashboard of motor speed and amp draw and stuff like that. So that's basically that. And here, yeah, that's the dashboard. When I started this project, I was not completely sure how much power draw there was, and how fast it would go, stuff like that. Now I've seen all that, and I know that it draws almost 150 amps. Yeah, I'm not stoked about that, because that gives a lot of strain on the connections and the wires, and everything heats up pretty quick with those kinds of amperages. Also, the outboard is really heavy. It's like 50 kilos without the batteries. So if you add up the batteries, actually need two. So I think it will. I still need to build them, but I think it'll end up around 60 or 70 kilograms per battery. So that adds another 150 kilos or 140 kilos to the boat. With a 50 kilo outboard, it's almost 200 kilograms, which for such a small boat like this is really a lot. So yeah, I don't really think this is going to work that well. So now the idea is to build a hybrid solution with a petrol engine and a smaller electric engine. So for the electric part, I'm planning to use this Hankai 8 horsepower electric motor, which gives us around 10 kilometers per hour speed. And if you want to go faster, I will add a 25 horsepower two-stroke petrol engine next to it. That is light and powerful, and that way if you want to go fast, you power up the petrol engine, and most of the time you won't go that fast, so then you use the electric motor. And the idea is to make them automatically start and put a hydraulic lift so that you can automatically raise and lower the engine that you want to use. So yeah, that's going to be in the next couple of videos, I guess. So stay tuned, and I'll make more videos when I have more to show.